Okay, let's continue to discuss this paper. How outside directors, human capital, and social capital create value for corporate international investment. And actually, this paper was done by Taiwanese professors. So all you can do from this model is not very complicated. And the data, most of the data are available from Taiwanese university. And also, it's not very difficult because it did not develop too many tables, including causal relationship paper or endogeneity problem or external shocks. This paper does not have that. It's very simple, just describe how to measure the human capital and social capital. And other than that, it proved that these details might affect the foreign direct investment value. It does not only mention the board director structure, it also check the detail about the director's expertise and the experiences. So much more than the general papers. So before we get into the paper, not working for this. Okay, working. Before we get into the paper, let me ask you, what is the human capital? This is actually intangible assets. These intangible assets, including individual skill, knowledge, experiences, and health and ability. So usually, we can measure the human capital using education, or you can count the numbers of years, high school, university, college, elementary school, how many years. This is a human capital. And you can also count exactly the experiences, how many years have you done that job, and your industrial background, finance, banking, technology, mathematics, human resources, or insurance, or AI. Also including your international experiences and your tenure, how many years have you working for this job, and your gender is also a human capital detail, because many papers mention gender ratios are an influential impact in some decision making beyond the mayor, board directors, and the age, functional expertise, and outside appointment, and so on. So this is a general human capital, but not all of them. So other than that, we have many other dimensions that can be applied to human capital, intangible assets of a firm. So as for the social capital, and social capital is much more broader. So what is that? Social capital is a value from like a social network. Of course, it's value, so we only count the positive social network relationship, and including trust, shared norms, and also all of this enable individual and communities to act together more efficiently. So these whole set could be a social capital general concept. However, based on this, we can improve the outcomes in the community or organization health, education, employment, and so on. So there have some types of social capital to be counted, but the result might be different, and the key difference will be improving your education, income, opportunity, and civic engagement, and so on. So this paper counts like a social capital, right? But it only counts the network. Actually, the network is a small portion of social capital. Other than that, there are many dimensions. So when you come to a community, you will find sometimes all this story belong to social capital. Someone give you a good direction or return your lost items. You can find a lost item very quick, and someone open the door for someone. All of this behavior belong to social capital because it embedded in a community. And what is a network capital? It's a small portion of social capital. So we can count from all this. Like it acts as a specialized form of social capital, often generate via electronic network to foster knowledge exchange, collaboration, and career advancement. But network capital have all this count. So it's a very complicated issues if you really want to examine network capital, because this paper using directors like Interlock. A director also work in B firms, and a director also work in C firms. So there have some director interlocks, and there have maybe 2, 3. But other than that, social network capital can be counted by your centrality, how many reach, what's the density, or how's the disparity, and so on. Many other measurements can count the network impact. And we will not introduce all these measurements because if you want to do more, you can check that kind of paper. However, we can know a little about the concept. But the directors interlock not just what you think from social media. Actually, like most of the social medias, how many friends you have, how many connections did you have, is one of your social network. But when you're being a board director, your social network will focus on one type, professional. Which one is more professional social network among this? Which one you think could be more professional, not just casual, saying something for fun, post some pictures for fun? They are more professional to post something with knowledge, well, expertise. Which one you think among this? You. This one? How to say that? Did you have the account? Did you see something professional being posted? Maybe the opposite. Okay, this is a user. Right. Then Facebook, Google, YouTube might have a large users. But if you want to measure the individual social network, usually we will count like a LinkedIn. So you guys may have a LinkedIn account after your graduation because it's much more professional. If you want to find a job, you have to have an account. And you can connect it with the same expertise and same social network professional type. This is LinkedIn. Facebook may be friends only, friendship much more than professionals. So this is just for your reference. But this paper has some network capital, and they are counting from the database. And the database have a knowledge to let you know how they count the numbers. And this is some concept. I will not introduce this in detail, just show you there have centrality you can count, bitrilinearness and closeness, anything. And also there have some social network density, very homogeneous social network. Everyone knows the same person in the same circle. However, heterogeneous social network might have a different circle. So this is more broader than this homogeneous one. So if you want to reach more diversity, expertise, this could be another one. Have a higher heterogeneous social network. And I will give an example, not Apple, not Foxconn. You just present. I showed you the Starbucks. Everyone is familiar with this. So 80 to 88 markets and over 40,000 store, international expansion, Asia, and many other countries, and continental. International business, international operation or supply chain, and so on. The directors, human capital, were including everything. Logistic, international management. And this firm may have a social capital connection to global consumer retail ecosystem compensation and so on. So I checked the data from Capital IQ and also some from Bloomberg and Boldex. And this is from the 2025 data, so only 1 year. So this firm has so many board directors on board. And I checked that they have a role for each person, and they have a network size for each person. So let's take a look at the outside directors. This is called independent directors. So they do not have ownership on firm. So they have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 independent directors. And there is a leader of the independent director, 5. And there have another 6, 7, 8, right? Yeah, director. And 9, Mike, and 10, Neil. So how many independent directors in this firm? They don't have any ownership. They don't have ownership at all, only for the monitor and for the advisors for the Starbucks. So among these 10 more directors, 10 of them are outside directors. So this is a very special firm. Other than that, we can check the role. So Brandy is the international CEO, so we can see that because the expertise we need international, and there have directors, which the role is international CEO, expertise too. And these two is executive VP, CFO, finance, COO, operational officer, and different expertise. Brian, chairman, CEO, general management, and another one, BAO, is a finance VP, and the others. So this is the large number of outside directors combined with the board directors, but with different expertise. And many others, they have a large number of social network, not just like a LinkedIn or only focus on Facebook. They count difference because they are counting like how many connections with your university and how many connections with your golf club, how many connections with your social activity. And they count a lot of social activity, social club into the number of each directors. So we can make a summary statistic. All these directors usually have an average qualification for 2.4. That means they have some like a award or achievement. And average time only 4.9 years, 5 years. And board tenure only very young, 2.7 years only. And average time in other company is much longer. So very experienced directors. This is the social network of this role, which is not independent director. This is the board directors. Their human capital among different expertise, global international market, and operational finance, accounting, general management, strategy, and finance, capital allocation, and so on. So the network, the highest from 9,000, and this is the top 5, but the lowest only like 100, very low, like 400. A median network size is 3,000 more, and range from 119 to almost 10,000. And board role is only 4 years. Average current board role only 2. Role only like a 2. Also means some directors also serve as the other company's director at the same time, almost a 2. So I not only serve one Starbucks, I have another role in another board, which is almost 2. But historical, on average, is like a 4 in the long run. So this is a detailed data that you can use next time from Capital IQ. So the papers have some idea, because most of the papers do not connect it to foreign direct investment. And the board level decision, very last paper connected to of them. And this paper connected to both of them, acquisition, international joint venture, and the board director decision problems. And the other papers are usually using independent director only. This paper, not just independent directors, they also count whether outside director have the human capital or social capital to add value to the firms. So it's another angle of the paper. And most of the paper only examine board structure, does not count board capability. And this paper count board capability. So they're including experiences and the connections. And I think this paper also using like whether the success experience might be good for the next year, but the answer was negative, right? So after know what is the human capital, social capital, can you guys answer this? If your firm is planning now a foreign acquisition, you are the chairman of the board director. What did you want from the outside director? Maybe expertise, what kind of, or something you think that is most important. Can be along with the introduction we have, and also you can add much more new dimensions to the answers. Did you scan? Have you scanned it? Yeah. Scan the QR code. Let me see your new angle or new idea. So you can type 1 to 3 words. I will collect your words. Okay, we have 12 participate. Yeah, you guys mentioned experience first, and then connection or local connection relationship, maybe the second is the larger word, and culture, local knowledge, strategic is expertise, right? And risk management, oversight, resources, okay. So no one mentioned the language. Huh? No one. You mentioned culture understanding, probably, yeah, associated with some local language, local knowledge. Yeah, That's a very good one. Have some new risk management terms, cultural and local connection, and yeah, risk management, local knowledge strategy. Oh, very good. Okay, let's get back to the slide. So different concept, the paper's distinctions. Board human capital actually have some dark sides. So this paper mentioned that short-term experiences happen to be successful can be misleading the next year. So have to be very careful. So there's a U-shape relationship in between. And board social capital also have positive and negative impact. So in the first beginning, it's positive relationship because more interlocked ties might get more resources from the other similar firms or information access or the exposure to practice using the other organization's experiences. But the dark side is the busy board directors maybe overloading to misleading the rule. So there have some distinction from these two intangible capital. And theoretical base behind these papers, there have many theoretical base resources dependence the paper used in this. Indirect learning, we can learn, transfer the lessons from the other experience, but also have some mistaken learning, so have to be very careful. Information process and the board group limits. So the paper also mentioned more outside tie can broader access to information. However, director have a limited time and attention. So there have a inverse U shape. Too many board seats can also reduce the preparation and also overload the directors. And there have an integrated prediction too. So there have some hypotheses and there have some research questions. And there have some data came from. So this paper integrate so many database. CRIPS provide the market data, and CompuState provide the financial statement. And FDI event data came from SDC, Wall Street, maybe check the day, and the Lexis and Nexus. So there have some event data from SDC, Lexis and Nexus. And the most important is the director's biological. So this came from 14A, 10K reports, Lexis and Nexus, and also from Boldex, if the university subscribe, the Boldex have these details. And the other interlocked for data usually can be accessed from Boldex too. So all this data have to be combined together to get your empirical study. So it is a kind of a simple regression. However, it condenses a lot of the database. Even though there have only 1,000 deal, right? Small sample. But it combines a lot. And the paper also doing a lot of job about to count success ratio and the director's FDI experiences. Did you know how to count this one? Because first, you have to be an outside director. And second, you have to know the director's expertise. Finance or international business or international management. And finally, you have to connect it to the director, which is outside director. Their experiences or their expertise is related to foreign direct investment. So many layer job that you have to screen. Director, outside, and experiences, expertise, whether it related to foreign direct investment. Very complicated, right? So usually you have to use in the statistic software to matching, to screen. First layer, just outside director, and then to screen the expertise and separate the expertise or experiences into several groups and pick one group that related to foreign direct investment. This is the most accurate one. If run that way, your sample reduce significantly, then you can expand or to lose your screening criteria to get much more sample. But strictly speaking, it's that way. You have to screen. Success ratio, the paper saying that whether they have a positive rate of return before the deal. And this is also good for integrate so many database and not just using the democratic data, because you just have to spend time to screen. The outside director and their expertise is matching the foreign direct investment. Okay, so this is the paper's elegance. And the same way from social capital, you have to screen one by one. So empirical model in this paper does not introduce completely. I think it's pretty roughly, because it also write a market model, which is a very K-band model without including all of this. So I put all these variables inside the equation. That's the regression model they show. So you will see control variables. You will see dependent variable, which is the CAR, cumulated abnormal return, before the event window. So the empirical model looks like you have a linear, you have a nonlinear, so we can have a square terms and some quality proxies. And this also can be redo it again by adding some IV design, endogeneity problems, concerns, and the difference in difference shock. So table 1 from number 5, it's related to these key papers variables. 0 is a dependent variable. 1 to 4 is control variable. So Which one did you think that's innovative measures? It's more innovative measures. Which one? Number of outside directors. It's only number. So on average is 6 to 7. But with FDI expertise, only 2. So outside director is 6, but on average with the similar expertise, experiences, only 2. And the success ratio is half, 0.5. And outside directors, directorship, this, I don't know why it's reduced to 1.7. And interlocked firm size is quite large. And Herfindahl diversification index is 0.6. Can be larger, equal to 1. And this is like a 0.6. A firm with FDI experiences is like a 3. So this data, some could be understood easier, right? But some numbers might not be easily to understand. For example, you have a number on average 6, you have experience only 2. But why the outside director reduced to 1.7? Because it means that total directors have 2, or outside director have the same experiences, only 1.7. If it is the one that the paper means, there should have some written revision to highlight this term. So from this, we can see some positive relationship and some negative relationship. We can take a look at the next one. We could see that. CAR is a dependent variables. We skip from the control variables, and we can see high number of outside director is positively related to abnormal return, positive. And directors' experiences, this means, I think it's outside directors' experiences. From the beginning, linear is negative. If you have less than 2.7 years, the relationship in between is negative. But after the square, we can see, after square, after 2.7 years, your experiences, it turned out to be positive. So the relationship between the experiences and the abnormal return is convex, decreasing first, and then after 2.7 years, it becomes positive. So you have to have passed the threshold to have more experiences on the success deal that might be foster a firm's value. So success ratio itself doesn't have any impact. This is the result from the human capital. So this is the main result. So very important, if you know that from the previous one, even though success ratio doesn't have any impact on the abnormal return, and this might have some implication for you, right? So what's the implication for you to take away next time? Because everyone will say that, let's see successful ratio before, but here it can have different answers, right? And interpretation for the nonlinear relationship, U-shape, also have some meaning for the threshold. So less experiences outside director might not create value for the foreign direct investment. So this could be experiences. And predictable high level and low level. So table 3 showing the social capital have the opposite results. So control variable, we can skip this and focus on the main story. So foreign experiences does not have any significant impact from social capital. However, the number of outside directors have a slightly positive, but not very significant. We only accept the 3-star to 2-star. So only outside directors, numbers of outside directors doesn't significantly foster abnormal return. However, we can see that this one, outside director with the same or with the similar expertise or experiences, it become positive then to negative. So in the first beginning, it increased the abnormal return. But if the outside directors is too busy, then it become negative. Okay, so this is an interesting story too, because many papers mention busy director doesn't help a firm's monitoring. Also, if you want to have outside directors to monitor your firm or provide advices to foreign direct investment, it only like a reflection point, like a tool. If they service 2 other firms at the same time, it's fine. But after 2, you can see after the 2, the result is decreasing. So there is a nonlinear relationship between 2. Interlock firm size, so we can see that is positive to the abnormal return. And also, highly diversification reduce the abnormal return. Too diverse. What's the reason for that? What's the reason? Who present this paper? Why this become significantly negatively affect the return? Why? Why it become significantly and negatively affect the abnormal return? Yeah. Because table 2 and 3, have the same results. We have a nonlinear, but all these tables, coefficient in 2 tables, is significantly and negatively affect an abnormal return. Diverse. diversification, interlock, and diversification does not foster. Think about that, and I will ask you again. Okay, so this has some implication too. So there have some implication for quality of network. Also increasing, however, too busy, it might foster or it might reduce the abnormal return. So there have some quality of network, not increasing term. And the main results, actually, hypothesis 3 is supported with the U shape. However, there's a 1.66, so you cannot serve too many outside director at the same time. So this is a 1.66 only. And the other is mention the quality of the network. So have you found the answer? Diversification negatively, significantly affect the abnormal return. Say, for example, if outside director serves as six firms, outside director 2, and each firm have a highly diversification sections. So how many resources, how many angles independent director have to handle, right? So the multiple impact quite complicated. It will not help to foster the value. So probably this is one of the reasons diversification actually reduce the value in the dark side. So bright side and dark side also exist. So we can focus on the busy directors here. So the marginal value of network, if the beyond the threshold, the marginal values assess is outweighed by the information overload and the weaker engagement. So it turned out to be negative to a firm. Otherwise, it should be positive. Okay, so we can have some quality of board capital mean here, and this is a paper also mentioned. So larger interlocked firms and more international diverse interlocked firms make outside director ties more valuable. However, if we measure the network quality, it quite probably being observed on their successful experiences quality, but the fact is it could be not. So robustness test, endogeneity test in this paper doesn't do much. So we can see that there have some robustness tests because the paper doing some Hausman test, Heckman test about the selection bias. However, the endogeneity problems like IV, the paper does not doing much more. So this could be enhanced if you are interested in. You can do much more. So this paper actually is not the DID paper or IV paper. It's not the exogenous shock identification paper, but it spent so much time to handle the human capital and the social capital. Make a lot of efforts on this. So have some managerial implication too. So for your reference here. And future, you can connect it to not just foreign direct investment. You can add something to the other topic. Also, you can add some like a not success ratio. You can add some like a failure exposure. And you can add some dimension like a language ability. And you can add the acquisition and the joint venture experience more detail. And you can add more country-specific experiences, not just region. You can just specific which country, and you have different experiences. And you can add this to human capital extension to do yours. You can also add more culture variables and like ESG controversies as a dependent variables. So this paper is using foreign direct investment, but actually research bridge can be more intangible. You can also say that whether all direct capital are associated with culture might have different answers, right? Interacted with the corporate culture and interacted with controversies, whether the result might be different. So capital IQ we have in Zhongyuan for your reference. And BORDEX, probably not. But if you need, you can write letter to ask. And the others is open domain that you can download from the SEC website. 10K is the same. You might be able to download from the SEC website. And their CV collection, if it's a listed companies, each director have a transparent information on the web for your reference. So the data was collected not so hard in some part. And we have 3 Slido discussion here. First, and we have conclusions for your reference. This is a very good human capital and social capital paper for your reference. Finally, answer the questions. We have 3. Maybe I will give you 2. Which one you think that is most important that you can click? Like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you say that all are important, but I have curiosity about how do you think after reading this paper? Which one is the most important from your point of view? Okay, very nice. I have the very similar answers like you. Prior FTI experience, quite important. Yeah, even though they may have a concave, inverse, or U-shape, but it's still very important. Country-specific knowledge, yeah, very important. But why outside network tie is so, part is so low? You guys don't think that is important? So I may have 3 and 5 switch. Successful past performance might be a good reference, but not guarantee everything. Yeah, and whether it's busy, very good answers. And next. We already had so many variables, right? We already had like human capital, a lot of dimension, social capital, a lot of dimension, intangible assets. When you're doing your dissertation, you have to have your variables, which is new and different from the prior literature review. Innovated variables. Tenure, industrial, network centrality. Okay. Okay, it's a very, very good to have an industrial tenure, network centrality. Yeah, this is the key. This is quite important, but difficult to measure. We have to use the software to count your international experience, international influence. Okay. Yeah, very good. Director's age. Young director might take more risk. Older director might be more conservative. Five related to experience, industrial, international, and three related to director's age, director's something, and one related to language and local culture, and three related to foreign market. Yeah, diversity among the board directors, also a measurement in the future, okay? So very good answers, and we can move on to the last questions for your reference. Okay. So you can already read all the answers, right? Let me scroll down. Diversity, age, international experience, external experiences, external work, language, culture. Yeah. Okay. Very good. And the last one. This is the last one. After our discussion, best match human capital or human capital. Which one? Or human capital, which one you think best match? What kind of human capital? Quite important. Okay, nice. So almost everyone answering the correct one. So it's a prior foreign direct investment decision experiences. Okay, very good. Okay, today our discussion will end here. It's very good to have you all here to participate in the discussion. If any further question, just email it to me, okay? Next week is the sports day, so we will 1 week off. And then the coming week, we will continue to discuss another accounting paper related to accounting complexity, which is also very important. So this semester, we switched the conversation to human capital, culture, and some accounting and some social capital, network capital in the future. So we have a lot of diversity topic to be examined, to broaden your vision and to find some interesting issues on the current trend. Okay, thank you very much. We'll see you 2 weeks later.